The thing about dogs is they don't know the word for what they're trying to tell you. Marcus Strand had been a civil engineer for 14 years. He built bridges. He spent his professional life reading load calculations and stress tolerances and the invisible forces holding structures together. He was not, by nature, a person who placed high value on intuition over data. He was a person who placed high value on what was observable, measurable, and verifiable. Clover was a 4-year-old golden retriever who had joined their household when their daughter Yuki was still in the abstract stage of family planning. She was not a working dog. She was not trained in any formal capacity. She was a dog who shed on the furniture, who had once eaten an entire loaf of sourdough bread and shown absolutely no remorse, and who had, in the 18 months since Hannah had arrived, quietly repositioned herself as the child's full-time ambient guardian in a way that no one had asked her to do and no one had been able to explain. It was a Saturday in October. Yuki was visiting her mother. Marcus was at home with Hannah, 18 months old, who had recently discovered that objects left on low surfaces could be retrieved by crawling toward them with focused intent. The TV remote had been on the coffee table. Marcus had not noticed when it fell. He had been in the kitchen making coffee, and Hannah had been on her playmat in the living room. And he had checked on her twice in 15 minutes, and both times she had been doing what she always did on the playmat, pulling at the edge, mouthing the corner, engaging in what the internet described as schema play, and what looked to him like focused destruction of soft goods. Clover brought him a sock at 11:40. He set it on the counter and went back to his coffee. Clover brought him a rope toy at 11:52. He told her she was being ridiculous, which was not something that had ever had any discernible effect on her behavior in 4 years. At 12:04, Clover brought him the television remote. She set it on the floor at his feet, sat and put both front paws on his right foot. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Marcus looked at the remote. It was a standard black remote, the kind that came with the streaming box, slightly chewed on one corner from an incident in Clover's first year that he had chosen not to revisit. He picked it up. The battery compartment cover was slightly ajar. He pressed it shut. It did not click closed. He turned it over. The battery compartment held 2 AA batteries, and in the secondary slot for the device pairing, a small round lithium battery, the kind labelled CR2-032. The CR2-032 slot was empty. He set down his coffee cup. He walked to the living room doorway. Hannah was on her playmat. Clover was already there, positioned beside the mat, nose to the carpet, moving in a slow, deliberate pattern across the mat surface, not playing, not sniffing in the casual way she did after meals, but working the specific focused sweep of an animal searching. The battery was on the carpet 18 inches from Hannah's right hand. Marcus crossed the room in 2 steps. He picked it up. It was a silver disc approximately 2 centimeters in diameter, slightly warm from the carpet. Hannah reached for it. He moved it to his left hand, above her reach, and crouched on the floor, and looked at his daughter and breathed in once, slowly, through his nose. Button batteries, he knew. He had read this during the child-proofing research he had done before Hannah started crawling, were responsible for thousands of pediatric emergency room visits annually. Ingested, they generated a current that caused chemical burns to the esophagus within 2 hours. The burns could be severe enough to cause perforation. The standard outcome, in cases where ingestion was not caught immediately, involved surgery. In some cases, the standard outcome was worse. Hannah had been on the mat for 45 minutes. He had checked on her twice. He had not seen the battery either time. He called Yuki. He could not fully explain why, but he wanted her to hear his voice saying, "Hannah is fine," before he said anything else. Has your dog ever done something you couldn't explain until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. He called the pediatric safety line afterward. The nurse who answered walked him through the protocol with the brisk efficiency of someone who handled this scenario regularly. The disc had not been ingested. He was certain, having observed Hannah continuously since finding it. But the nurse wanted them seen, to rule out, to be certain. The pediatrician on call, a young man named Dr. Emeka Ose, confirmed no ingestion. He also confirmed what Marcus already knew from his research. The window between discovery and harm, in button battery ingestion scenarios, was measured in hours, not days. The decision to follow the dog, to go to the living room, to look at the carpet, it had closed a window he had not known was open. How did you know to check? Dr. Ose asked, writing in the chart. Marcus thought about this for a moment. The dog, he said. Dr. Ose looked up. She brought me the remote. He paused. She'd been bringing me things for an hour. I thought she was being attention-seeking. He stopped. I was wrong about why. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never ask for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. He drove home. Yuki was already back. He told her the whole story in the kitchen, while Hannah slept in the carrier strapped to Yuki's chest. He watched Yuki's face go through the same sequence his own had gone through earlier. Disbelief, then recalibration, then something very specific that did not have a clean word. Clover was on her mat. She was not performing anything. She was not waiting for acknowledgement. She was sleeping, chin on paws, the way she always slept in the afternoon, when the house was quiet. Marcus found the CR2 032 in his jacket pocket later that evening. He looked at it for a long time. This small silver disc, the size of a shirt button, unremarkable in every way. And then he put it in the recycling bin, on the metal pile, and went to where Clover was sleeping and sat on the floor beside her. She did not wake. He put his hand on her back and felt the slow rise and fall of her breathing, and said nothing, because there was nothing useful to say, and because some things do not benefit from being reduced to language. The next story involves a dog who was right about something for 11 days, before anyone believed him. Subscribe so you're there when it posts.